Thomas stood still, then used an extremely strong force to smash the ground, causing it to break into many pieces. That attack blocked Jinwoo's attack. The power was so terrible that it made him sweat. He continued to use the capture skill towards Jinwoo. The flow of power is like a black hole that can suck everything inside. The shadow soldiers near that area who couldn't resist were sucked inside. The power is so great that even Jinwoo is afraid. If it weren't for the ruler's power, Jinwoo would have been caught up. Jinwoo stood from above looking at him. Thomas said that this time he would definitely not miss again. After that attack, all the hunters in the guild, unable to withstand the pressure, fainted. Thomas from below rushed towards Jinwoo in a frenzy. Before he could launch the attack, Jinwoo kicked him and flew away. He used capture skill to capture Jinwoo. He used his ruler's hand to protest. Seeing Jinwoo's actions, Thomas also guessed that he wanted to hit him directly, so he happily accepted. He strengthened his arm and punched Jinwoo. 2 punches began to be thrown, and the one lying down was Thomas. He screamed in pain. Jinwoo approached from afar and continued to attack. Thomas tried to protest, but he dodged it and then hit Thomas in the face with another knee. At this time, everyone from the Hunter Association had also arrived. Everyone who witnessed the scene was surprised and shouted, "Oh my God, the magic is so strong. Just what monster it is fighting. It's very dangerous. We should be mentally prepared to leave." The 2 people standing outside began to comment on the situation inside. "Just now, if I'm not mistaken, yes, it's Mr. Thomas Onder. Mr. White, what should we do now?" And Adam replied, "What else can we do to stop them? Thomas is being punched to death by Jinwoo." Thomas lay on one side and thought to himself, "Is this the strength and speed of a hunter? Have I lost? No way. No, that's not possible." He tried to sneak up on Jinwoo, but he stopped him and then punched him in the face, causing the armor around Thomas to crumble. The power of overwhelming the enemy is Thomas's only proof. He shouted, "I'm Thomas. I won't be taken down that easily." Jinwoo gave him another elbow in the face. "I told you I don't care." Adam outside shouted in horror, "Hunter-san, Jinwoo, please stop." At this moment, Jinwoo had lost his reason and seemed unable to stop anymore. Thomas was beaten unconscious. While about to deliver the finishing blow, Thomas weakly cried out, "I lost. I really lost." Adam stood aside in surprise. Thomas, invincible in the world, was beaten like this. How many people in this world can make him like this? No, it's a question of whether there exists anyone who can do that. If this gets out, the world will be in chaos. Adam ordered the healer to quickly heal him. The healer reported the bones in his body were broken and there was serious bleeding. He cannot handle it alone. Let's do it together, but luckily only a national hunter like Mr. Thomas can withstand such serious injuries. If it were anyone else, I would have died 10 times already. The event ended with absolutely no casualties. Adam hugged his face in frustration, but this was already very lucky. Hunter Hwang Dong-soo is no longer breathing. His heart stopped beating and I don't see Hunter-son Jinwoo anywhere. The scene changes back to Korea. Jinwoo stands on a building thinking. He changed places with Beru. He hasn't been back for a long time. Korea. Now before your eyes, Seoul. Right now, Beru is probably trying his best to treat Jinho in America. This shadow soldier is Hwang Dong-soo. He asked Jinwoo to give him a name. Jinwoo turned to face him. "You died because of greed, so I called you Greed. Do you like that name?" "Hwang Dong-soo." He replied, "Thanking you, Your Majesty." Jinwoo ordered him to start banging his head on the ground. The next day at the International Hunter Conference, Jinwoo was slowly going inside. The deputy director said that it seemed like the fight between the 2 of them had already reached the press. It seems that today it is difficult to avoid the eyes and ears of the media. He turned to look at Jinwoo with gloomy eyes. This person single-handedly wiped out the scavenger guild. He continued, "I have confirmed the testimony about Hunter Hwang Dong-soo's behavior. I will clarify this issue with the Hunter Management Department." Jinwoo didn't answer. He just thought, "Now I don't want to care about Hwang Dong-soo anymore. His purpose in coming to America is only to solve all these questions. Then there's nothing left to do in America. And here." He gave the headset to Jinwoo and said he would translate today's conference for Jinwoo. He walked in with everyone's eyes of extreme fear. They discussed among themselves. Was it the Korean hunter who beat Thomas nearly to death? It seems he also played an important role in the Tokyo Gate incident. He is so strong that he is capable of destroying Thomas, who is capable of dominating other hunters like a king. Unbelievable. An old man with gray hair stood up and spoke. Hello everyone. I am Dr. Belzer. I'm sure you're all aware that there's been a recent spike in the number of gates and powerful beasts. But what many of you may not know is that we've detected some unusual activity in the skies. It's been widely reported that the concentration of mana that has been absorbed into the atmosphere is growing increasingly dense. I'd like to refer to this particular type of mana by a different name, until a more suitable term is available. I propose calling it the magosphere. Did you know that this magosphere is currently forming clusters in the skies above some countries? This phenomenon can be observed in a total of 9 areas, and this right here is where the magosphere is most concentrated. That's Seoul, Southern Korea. Everyone is surprised to hear about South Korea. All eyes turn to one place, Hunter Sung Jin Woo. The doctor saw this situation and immediately told everyone that there was no need to look at Hunter Sung like that. If it was him who created the magosphere in the sky, he would have completely surpassed the realm of hunters. Jin Woo heard that there were 9 locations and immediately began to wonder if it had something to do with the number of lords. The professor above continued, because we don't know the cause of this problem, we can't do anything to solve it. However, just because we can't handle it doesn't mean it doesn't need to be treated. This world will probably once again face great change. The director asked him, Dr. Belzer, the speech has ended, so it was my part. The director stood on the podium and said, I have an urgent matter to announce to all the hunters present here today, and my heart feels heavy when I have to announce this news. About 2 weeks ago, Hunter Christopher Reed was assassinated by a group of anonymous assassins. Hearing this, everyone was in an uproar. Speaking loudly and softly, is he a national hunter, Christopher? Are you kidding me? No way. The only person who could kill a national-level hunter could only be someone of equal strength, perhaps the one who fought Thomas yesterday. Everyone in the guild now looked at Jinwoo again. The screen shows Christopher's body. News about Christopher Reed's death will be announced tomorrow. Please listen carefully and don't misunderstand. We suspect an individual committed this crime. Suspect S. Jinwoo's father's image has now appeared on the premiere screen. So the culprit wasn't Song Jinwoo, the one who defeated Thomas. But that Asian man's face looked exactly like the one sitting here. The 2 men in front were sweating profusely, and no one dared to turn around to look at Jinwoo. They think that all Asians look the same, but no matter how you look at it, Jinwoo here is thinking, the dungeons are the territory of the rulers. I don't know why the rulers are brought a monster in the shape of his father. Probably has something to do with what Kamish said. The director continued to speak. This man found at a gate in America is said to be a monster capable of speaking human language. We have requested the help of S-rank hunter Wang Dong-soo, who speaks Korean, to take the lead. Interrogation. But he took down Hunter Wang Dong-soo right in the middle of the interrogation and devastated the Hunter Association headquarters into a sea of flames. The villain is strong enough to defeat Hunter Wang Dong-soo, who holds a position in the Scavenger Guild's main attack force. Powerful humanoid monsters like him, who had escaped from the dungeon, had probably joined forces to take down Hunter Christopher Reed. That is the conclusion that we in the Hunter Association have drawn. Jinwoo overheard a conversation between his father and Wang Dong-soo. Mr. warned Wang Dong-soo never set a toe in Korea, not for my son but for you. Otherwise you will not rest in peace, not even death. Greed appeared and reported Jinwoo as he suspected was Jinwoo's father. The director continued to speak. We intend to request support from all associations around the world to arrest Suspect S and hope everyone will contact us as soon as they discover him. One of them stood up and asked, is there any evidence that Suspect S is not human? Mr. Answer. The magical energy he emitted completely matched that of a monster. Next question. We know he said he was a human lost in a dungeon. Is the hunter he described real? Yes, that's a real person. Then why don't you reveal that hunter's identity? The director sighed. Since he is related to one of the hunters present here, we have decided not to reveal that information. Any more questions? Liu Jigang, raise your hand. You don't think so, President. I'll say it directly. What does that monster have to do with Hunter Sung Jinwoo? The director sighed with a gloomy face. If Hunter Liu wants to know, then we have no other choice. Liu Jigang asked Jinwoo. Hunter Sum Jinwoo. If Suspect S turns out to be your missing father and the other hunters try to hunt him down, what will you do? Jinwoo replied with a cold face. There is nothing wrong with hunters hunting monsters, and if he is really a monster, then I will personally take care of him. But if he is not a monster, but really is my father, I will protect my family even if it means making enemies of every hunter in this world. In the hallway in front of the conference room, Adam asked Jinwoo what was his intention. What when you said that you dared to say that in front of 500 of the world's strongest hunters from 120 different countries? Perhaps there are only 2 hunters in this world, including him, who dare to be so wild. Jinwoo asked who is the other person. Adam replied that he was in the hospital. There would be a party in about a minute. The Hunter Association was very dedicated to organizing it, so if you're not too busy, let's have dinner with the other hunters. Jinwoo and Adam now saw Liu Jigang greeting them. Adam translator said, Mr. Liu said he killed a giant monster that he lost on the Chinese coast. Jinwoo was surprised that Adam even knew Chinese. Adam looked very proud and said, I am in charge of all of Asia, but I can speak all Asian languages quite well. So please continue translating. Liu said he was surprised to discover that the giant monster was stronger than he thought and that things were even more difficult when the battle took place on water. He said ever since then, he wanted to meet him, and he was very curious to know what kind of hunter could easily kill such strong monsters. Liu wanted to shake hands with him. He even said he was happy because he taught Hunter Thomas a lesson. He said that he was sure that Hunter Thomas was going astray. Jinwoo's impression of Liu was that of a nagging man, but he was actually quite interesting. Liu Jigang walked away. Adam continued to translate. Liu Jigang hoped that Suspect S was not from his family because he did not want to fight with Worker Song. Doesn't seem to mean anything bad. The director here called Jin Woo and asked if he could give me a little time. That evening Mrs. Sellner was there. She happily greeted Jin Woo. Jin Woo didn't understand why she wanted to see him. Jin Woo replied, That's right, I didn't think the lady would come to see me. She replied, Lately I've been dreaming the same dream every day. I dreamed that top hunters were being hunted, and a few days later that dream came true. Jinwoo asked again, Maybe Christopher is the same? The director replied, We warned Christopher, but he refused to listen. You already know what the result will be. Mrs. Sellner's face was sad. The manhunters who are protecting this world will continue to die. Those who have been hunting will not stop, so you want to warn me to be careful of them. The lady denied it. She wanted Jinwoo to protect all the other hunters. In that recurring dream, I tried to remember the faces of those people. However, it was all in vain. So I used another way. I tried using my ability to confirm the identities of those people. Jinwoo urgently asked, So did you think of me at that time? That's right, the endless power in those guys. I had to wake up right after touching its face. When I met him, I still remember his voice / what did he say? Jinwoo's eyes gradually became serious. He turned back and obediently waited for the war to break out. Jinwoo thought to himself, Is the battle between rulers and emperors that the giant king talked about / If so, which side is the one hunting the current hunters? But what does that have to do with your request to protect the hunters? Mrs. Sellner replied, Because that strength is the same as the strength I saw in you. Jinwoo's face darkened. Did Lady Sellner see the power of the Dark Emperor in her that day? So the power she saw from the hunters was the emperor's. The director continued, They are stronger than the strength of hunters. To stop them, we need hunters with equal strength. Actually, we were also skeptical about whether we could protect the other hunters besides you. But after witnessing the battle between Workers Sung and Thomas, we changed our minds. Of course, we only expect you to help unconditionally. If you want, we can give you both Kamish's top treasures and runestones. This world has hunters who received strong blessings and protected this world with their own strength. If they disappear, this world will no longer be able to resist. Jinwoo still kept silent. After a while he said, I'm sorry. The director urgently asked if he still cared about Thomas's affairs. The reason is not because I still don't know who the enemy I have to fight is. Jinwoo then stood up and asked them for permission to leave. Looking at Jinwoo's figure, Adam gloomily remembered Jinwoo's words. Even if the whole world becomes my enemy, I still have to protect my family. I thought he was really going to leave, but I didn't expect Jinwoo to stop and tell Adam, Can you give me a list of hunters who need my protection later? And please prepare for me to meet them too. Hearing this, Adam was really happy. The last day of the International Hunter Association Conference, the Hunters Festival hosted by the Hunter Management Department. Everyone at the party was extremely happy. In the crowd, Jin Woo turned to ask about Jin Ho's health. He raised his hand to show that he was fine. When he heard that Jin Woo had gone to fight with Thomas because of him, he was so touched that he wanted to cry. Everyone is standing here talking about Jin Woo and Jin Ho. They began to smile brightly like beauty queens to greet Jin Woo. This guy is the owner of a business that specializes in handling magical beasts. He wanted to buy the giant magical beast that Jin Woo caught and asked Jin Woo if he could give him a little time. Jin Woo replied, "I'm mainly responsible for cleaning the gate, but business is the vice president's job." Jin Ho introduced himself as the vice president. Then they went aside to discuss business matters. Jin Woo looked at Jin coughing like that and exclaimed, "This guy has now become a real vice president." Adam now came to give the list to Jin Woo. This is the list of hunters that need Jin Woo's protection. Are the 10 people with the highest scores here? Jin Woo also realized that it was the order of priority. Jin Woo asked if it were me, what would I rank here? Adam replied, "If we include the records on dealing with giants, it's probably about 3rd or 4th place." Jin Woo now read through all the objects he needed to protect. It's so annoying. Having to remember all of them must have left the shadow soldiers next to them. Either way, this is a good condition to send shadow soldiers nearby. Through these hunters, I will come into contact with the emperors, know who is the enemy, who is the friend, and how to fight them. A foot gradually walked towards it, and it was Thomas. Director Woo was about to go upstairs to stop the two of them, but Jin Woo stopped him and said it was okay. Thomas stood in front of Jin Woo and said he just wanted to ask a question. This arm is subject to extremely great magic power, making it impossible for healers to cure it no matter how much. The doctor also said the same, although it is gradually recovering. But to completely cure it, it will take a lot of time. If it were you, you could clearly wipe out my members that day. But not a single member died in the recent battle, except the person who caused it, Mr. Wong. Why did you forgive us? Jin Woo answered a question that made him extremely respectful. Because you guys did nothing to deserve death. Upon hearing this, Thomas also understood the problem and left and said that he would organize a grand funeral for Mr. Wong, and hoped that Jin Woo could come there to attend the funeral even though he committed the crime of death. Please forgive him, Mr. Sung. And after his arm heals, let's have a meal together. Thomas raised his broken arm, then left. If you give my manager your contact number, I will contact you later. Laura bowed her head and said, "Our president just thanked you for not harming the members and sent you greetings. Even though he looks like that, he's a very shy person, Hunter Sung. Although it's a bit rude, can you give me your contact number? President, if you want to thank me, please tell us." President, we are aggressive people, so if we can't repay the favor, we won't accept it. You can say anything. Hearing this, Jin Woo was a bit surprised. He thought, "Thank you." Then a dagger? Hearing this, Laura also thanked Jin Woo and left. Adam was about to take Jin Woo to meet those 6 people, but Jin Woo said there was no need. But why is there one person missing? I don't see the person in the 6th position. Adam said in surprise. How did you know that person had cut off contact with us just a few days before the conference? I went all the way to the Brazilian government but still couldn't find his whereabouts. At this time, Jin Woo also realized that person had been hunted. At the Korean Hunter Association, President Go Gun-hee placed his hand on his chest and sighed. Strange. Lately my heart often stops beating. Although it hasn't been a year or 2 since my heart wasn't working well. Recently the situation hasn't been normal anymore. Have I reached my limit? The doctor said that if I didn't quit my job, I would die within half a year. Just like that, I lasted a year or 2 until now. It seems like I've reached the limit and I have to accept it. Can't bear it anymore. The phone bell rang. There's nothing going on today, President. Answer, what's going on? I'm planning on going home. Suddenly he felt something, so he sat up. Suddenly the goblin appeared again looking for him. He gave an evil smile. President Go didn't know if I could talk to him. He didn't feel his presence at all. It seemed like this guy wasn't easy to deal with. He laughed and said that this place had been completely cut off from contact with the outside world. Then an iceberg pierced the chairman's shoulder. The goblin asked the chairman if the pain was not a dream. At this moment, Go Gun-hee also understood that this was reality. He asked who he was. He replied, although I hoped you would understand yourself, but as expected, you are only human. I have no interest in killing the weak. Please appear. Fragment of light, if I damage that body, do you mind? But if it weren't for your strength, that body would have expired a long time ago. If you keep hiding out of fear, I won't be able to say anything more, okay? The stream of light in his hand was shot out. The fragment of light residing in the chairman's body finally appeared. The president used one hand to gently block his attack. He said you separated the guild leader's room and locked it in another space. Smiling Goblin, I've been looking for you for a long time. Who would have thought that you were locked in that old, decrepit body to the point where you couldn't use your powers? We have found all the locations of the 7 of you. 2 of the fragments were destroyed. This face, I want to feel a confused expression on that face. Now I can destroy this body of yours without any regrets. The angry president shouted, come give it your best shot, Monarch of Frost. Cold air now surrounded the room. Monarch of Frost says you're choosing to resist. How foolish. I've taken over this human's body, whereas yours is merely borrowed. Do you really think you stand a chance against me? 2 streams of yellow and blue magic power began to collide with each other. The other Monarch of Frost used some skill that ice quickly surrounded President Go, causing him pain. He used his head to smash the ice wall, and then punched the other guy straight in the stomach. He quickly used ice to form a spear to stab the president's face, but he was able to dodge it. He turned around to give him a punch, but he used a bandage to block the attack. The 2 fought very fiercely. The chairman took advantage of the moment his body could still move and had to strike the final blow. He roared and attacked the Monarch of Frost. He tried to raise his hand to block the attack, but the force was too great and he flew away. At this time, the chairman's body had reached its limit. Monarch of Frost saw this and proudly asked if that was the limit of your body. It's really trash, isn't it? Light fragments. After he finished speaking, he also disappeared in front of President Go, then appeared directly, making him a bit surprised. Then he threw a punch through the president's stomach, causing him extreme pain. How long will it take you to find a new body? 1 year or 2 years? Our army has already arrived, but with this situation it seems that before your soldiers arrive, this world has already come to an end. Protecting the inhabitants of this world was your mistake. Surely you consider us to be such insignificant opponents that we can win even if we close one eye. The president grabbed the ice in his hand and laughed loudly. Ha ha, all this time you thought I would fight with you so meaninglessly. Just like you gave me a surprise, you also had an unexpected turn of events. The president launched an attack outward to destroy the Monarch of Frost's barrier. He suddenly looked outside and asked, are you trying to do this? Even if you do that, nothing will change. At this time, Beru had already entered from the outside. Residents of chaos. A weak soldier is just a small resident in the chaos. So what can I do? Suddenly the ant disappeared. The goblin also understood the problem, so he went outside to stop it. Jin Woo suddenly appeared and blocked his attack. He squeezed the goblin's neck and asked him who he was, making him extremely scared. He saw the dark soldiers inside Jin Woo's shadow, so he asked, Dark Emperor, why don't you contact us even though you have gathered such a large number of soldiers? Jin Woo remembered that he had once failed to extract the ball named Ice Env, so his expression was a bit dissatisfied. Monarch of Frost said so you are the variable that guy said. He opened his rotten mouth and blew out a breath of cold mist, causing Jin Woo to freeze. The ice tightly covered one of Jin Woo's arms, then it gradually thickened to form a giant ice wall. Mage system. He summoned a dagger from his hand, and it appeared and broke the ice wall. Monarch of Frost said, Stop it. I didn't come here today to bet my life. You came here to save that human, right? Jin Woo listened and thought to himself, Human? That guy is the guy who beat the association leader? Maybe. Jin Woo's eyes looked up in surprise at the building. He saw President Go. He collapsed on top. The Monarch of Frost raised his hand to form an arrow. Choose. Fight me or save him. He gave an evil smile and quickly launched the arrow towards the chairman. Jin Woo saw that the situation was urgent, so he used the ruler's hand to suck the arrow, but the system reports that the opponent's magic power can resist the ruler's power. There was no other way for Jin Woo to rush upward to catch the arrow. He thrust his dagger forward, then teleported to block the arrow's attack. Taking advantage of an opening, Monarch of Frost quickly ran away. He created a gate preparing to leave. Jinwoo summoned daggers from space to attack that guy. He was hit, but it wasn't fatal, so he was lucky to escape with one life. Before leaving, he said bitterly, "How could a kid who only acted as a vessel hurt me? That's good, I'll wait until the darkness inside you is opened again. Now say goodbye, feel free to turn that guy into your shadow soldier. That's my gift." Jinwoo thought, because of his barrier, I didn't feel anything until things got to this point. Damned, a condition he can no longer use recovery medicine to treat. Jinwoo shouted, "Beru." It received the command and appeared in a moment. "Why do you call me, my lord? Save him from me at all costs." Beru started healing, but it said my healing ability was ineffective. Jinwoo held the bottle of holy water of life in his hand and was about to treat the president, but suddenly he weakly raised his hand to stop him. "Stop, come and thank me." Jinwoo panicked and said, "Sir, wait a minute, I will take you to the hospital." Hearing that, he immediately refused. The power that attacked me was not the kind that could be cured. This time I have reached the will of great existence. Their plans, our enemies, the rest of us, the things we have to do, we're lucky to have you. I didn't expect him to have such strength. Thank God the gate and the dungeon were not created for them, but they made the choice to protect us. At some point, the moment you have to make a choice will come, then be on the human side. I also want to fight alongside young people like you, but from the beginning with this body of mine, that's impossible. Even so, now I have no regrets anymore, because now we can entrust it to young people like you. Thousands and thousands of breathless times signal that we don't have much time left, but maybe my heart still beats without stopping just to meet you. That's right. To meet you, so lucky. Thank you, thank you. Tears rolled down his old cheeks and his arms gently hung down. The barrier also gradually disappeared. That day it rained very heavily. The autumn rain came along with the cold wind and brought millions of hot news to the newspapers. News about Brazil's great hunter Jonas being found dead suddenly by a nearby river, and the news that the head of the Korean Hunter Association was brutally murdered with a puncture wound on his chest, along with the news that hunter Sung Jinwoo had returned to Korea. Christopher the Great Hunter Jonas and even the Korean Association chief were all killed. When the deaths of top hunters were announced continuously, the world fell into a great crisis. Mass media around the world announced continuously the deaths of 3 great hunters, and the Hunter Management Department had to issue a statement regarding this incident. Ordinary people are protected by hunters, so who will protect the hunters? The death of those world-class hunters was a fear that had never appeared until now. During the funeral, a sad atmosphere surrounds the place. Jin Woo turned to look at director Woo Jin-chul and asked if he was okay. He sadly replied, "I'm sorry, I'm a bit busy these days." The demonic beast that murdered the association leader couldn't even Hunter Song's power stop him. When I arrived it was already. He helplessly looked up at the gloomy sky. I still couldn't believe it. Just the other day, he said he wanted to hear about things in America and urged me to return quickly. But how is that possible? Thank you for protecting the association leader until the end. Jinwoo replied silently, "No need, because I will kill him. The demonic beast that murdered the association leader will definitely kill him. At that time, I will accept your thanks." Tears and raindrops were mixed on Jinwoo's face. He said to Director Woo, "Can you call a journalist to help me?" After the death of President Go Gun-hee, despite being in a depressed atmosphere, reporters still gathered at the press conference. Jinwoo said, "Currently there is a group of highly intelligent magical beasts targeting the world's top hunters. They are stronger than any current hunter, and they will stop at nothing to find a way to kill the hunters." One of them stood up and asked, "Is the group of demonic beasts you mentioned the demonic beast that murdered association leader Go Gun-hee one of them? Before he attacks the hunter, those magical beasts will use space-blocking magic to isolate the target. Therefore, those who think they may become a target should surround themselves with colleagues who can help protect themselves." Jinwoo remembered what the demon said. That guy called himself Monarch of Frost, like the Monarch of the Beginning, and the Monarch of Shadows. He also carried the title of Monarch. So of course not even the strongest hunters in the world could win against him. However, if you do not have any colleagues who can help protect you, please contact me through the Korean Hunter Association. The War of the Emperors officially begins from here. In a certain dungeon, a group of emperors gathered together. Monarch of Frost announced that the Dark Emperor has come to Earth. Didn't he say that there is no body strong enough to contain his power? Isn't that why the Dragon King couldn't remain on Earth? Monarch of Frost said he saw with his own eyes Jinwoo will become an even greater danger to their light fragments. He said he would eliminate Jinwoo and asked if the others could help him. A blonde guy inside said, fighting him will only result in death. This time the opponent is out of the 9 monarchs who reign over chaos. He's one of the strongest. Why don't you wait for the Monarch of Destruction, the Dragon King, to return instead? Monarch of Frost replied, we may be on the run right now, but we're still monarchs. How much longer do you expect us to rely solely on the Dragon King? If we want to get rid of him, now is our chance because he is still human. Please help me, I will take responsibility and send him back to nothingness. The blonde guy heard that and immediately refused another guy as well. I don't want to end up like the Monarch of White Flames. What a coward, the blonde said. You know what happened to the Monarch of White Flames after he lost. I don't want to be caught by the Shadow Monarch's authority and fall into eternal slumber. But he can't command spiritual beings like us, the other person replied. It seems that the system creator and the Dark Lord have worked hand in hand, so it seems that we can also be made into copies. See, I don't want to be a toy in his world. After speaking, he left. The furry man turned to ask Monarch of Frost what proof he had to prove that Jin Woo was human. He replied he had applied poison on his dagger. That's not something Eshborn, the Monarch of Shadows, would do. A woman smiled. What? Clearly, if the Dark Emperor was controlling the human body, he wouldn't use that trick. Seeing that, Monarch of Frost asked, will you stand with me? I will help you kill the Dark Emperor. It's raining heavily in Seoul right now. The sound of a press conference rings out. I hope you will think carefully. Who will protect your life when an S-level gate appears here again? Even if you pay urgently. Hundreds and thousands of times the amount of money you used to buy a house cannot save you. When Hunter Sum Jinwoo fought with the ants, the association president was also watching the broadcast. He said that because he had achieved his lifelong wish, now he would not have any regrets even if he closed his eyes. But I didn't expect him to leave like this. Jin Woo was now standing on the roof of the building thinking, I can't feel his magic. Indeed, this method doesn't work. He has no shadow, so he is a spirit. The Lord and the ruler are both made of spiritual beings, so they cannot become soldiers of darkness. The Emperor of the Giants said so. Similarly, if the Emperor does not have a shadow, then the most superior tracking method seems to be useless. It's okay, as long as I'm still a hunter. Those predators will definitely not ignore me. Scene changes at the Hunter Association. The board of directors is voting on who will be the next president of the association. One person in the council said, the S-class awakened hunter becoming the association president has brought symbolic meaning to the Korean Hunter Association. Now we have lost the great treaty that could control the 5 largest associations in Korea. In the end, who can control the successor associations? Are you saying that the association must also recruit S-rank awakened hunters? Being high-level awakened hunters means they also have the same influence. We have to be careful with recruiting outsiders like that. So after in-depth discussion, the directors and I decided to recommend Department Manager Woo Jin-chul. Hearing this, he was a bit surprised. Why me? They said that Department Head Woo Jin-chul was a person who supported the late president a lot and that he also learned a lot from him. Moreover, he also has enough power to mobilize the hunters in the country. We can only let Hunter S sit in the position of president. Someone who has influence in the hunter world and makes other hunters fear him. In other words, I feel that Department Head Woo Jin-chul, who can directly control and mobilize other hunters, is the candidate. Most reasonable. Woo Jin-chul quickly replied, but I still have many shortcomings to be able to sit in that position. The person has a much higher position than me at my age, still too young, and the other directors, including the director, other branches, have many people like that. Why did you choose me as President Go Gun-hee's successor? One of them replied, although I and the staff in the association can mobilize the entire force of Korea, we do not have the strength. However, Department Head Woo Jin-chul has that power. In addition, he has close relationships with major guilds and, more importantly, he is also close with Hunter Sum Jinwoo. Woo Jin-chul replied, although we often meet, I'm not sure if Hunter Sum Jinwoo thinks so or not. If it's your decision, we can't force it. However, can you carefully think and accept this decision? At the Scavenger Guild building, Thomas and his assistant Laura are going down to the basement. The security guard standing there was also extremely surprised. Thomas told them there was no need to do that. Sit down. Then he unlocked the fingerprint to enter inside. Laura asked Thomas if he was really going to give that thing. Thomas turned and asked again, "What's wrong? Is it worth more than my life and that of the members?" She replied, "No, I didn't mean that." He smiled and went in and said, "So do you think he is not qualified to use it?" Laura's expression at this moment was a bit regretful. In front of them right now is the place where the item Thomas is about to give to Jinwoo is stored. Thomas smiled. "Every time I see it, it's beautiful." Laura replied, "It is a rare treasure in the world with only 2 bars. Whether now or in the future, it will always be the same. But are you really going to give it to me?" Thomas replied with no regret in his voice, "Because it's so rare, I gave it away. Wouldn't it be a pity to have a superior weapon like it here?" Only now can we admire Thomas's 2 extremely perfect daggers. The next morning, the press was reporting that the Korean Hunter Association, Hunter Woo Jin-chul was the president of the association. Jin Ha here doesn't understand why the association president was just murdered and this handsome guy became president right away like that. It's true that the country is in chaos and the world is in chaos. Jin Ha turned to look at his mother and ran to hug her. "Mom," she told Jin Ha to go take out the trash for Mom if she's bored. She replied, "No, I'm very lazy." The little girl's face looked a bit sad and she said, "Mom, let's move house. My daughter wants to move house. Mom still likes this house. She doesn't understand what's good about this old apartment, but she still happily replied, "Even so, Mom still likes it." Seeing her daughter keep talking about that problem, she moved. "Go tell my beautiful daughter to go do some laundry." Jin Ha walked away with a depressed look on her face. Only now will the mother praise her child for giving birth. As soon as Jin Ha entered the laundry room, she discovered something and quickly screamed, "Mommy!" Scene change in front of Ah Jin's office. Everyone is now surrounding the room, especially the press. There are 2 people who are telling each other a rumor that he's at the Ah Jin club. Is it true? Yes, it seems true. I can't believe it. Is Thomas really here? Opposite Jinho right now is Thomas. He gave a forced smile. Thomas went to Korea. Also coming to my Ah Jin guild office was Germany's top hunter, Lennart Nierman. He's the 12th ranked hunter in the U.S. Hunter Management Bureau's hunter rankings. They've been here for 2 hours. Boss, where are you? Please answer my phone call. Even Thomas had to come find Jinwoo like this. Lennart Nierman thought to himself, "Can I meet some Jinwoo today?" Thomas said Mr. Sung is clearing the dungeon. It seems like he usually doesn't come to the office. Speak of the devil, Jinwoo returned to the joy of all the staff. Glancing to his left, Jinwoo immediately saw Thomas. He happily greeted Jinwoo, and he secretly thought that the group of journalists crowded in the office was indeed Thomas here. I also partly guessed it thanks to his aura. Jinho stood next to Jinwoo and cried, "Big brother, why don't you answer my call?" He replied that he was a bit busy, and at this time, Jinho also noticed that Jinwoo's clothes seemed to have stains. Jinwoo replied with a tired tone, "There's been a lot of dungeons these days, so I can't rest. Beru and Ivigris are about to level up now." Thomas interrupted their words. Thomas said, "Mr. Sung, long time no see." Jinwoo asked him what business he had to go to Korea. He quickly replied, "Don't we already have an appointment? When my hand is completely healthy again, we will have a meal together. Also, I brought a very nice gift for Mr. Sung." Looking at Jinwoo with a bit of surprise, Thomas showed an extremely happy attitude. "Seeing him so hopeful makes me very happy. Let's move somewhere comfortable. If you give it to Mr. Sung, here, it will be dangerous." Jinwoo heard this and thought to himself, "Something dangerous? Could it be that it's not a bomb?" Jinho was standing to the side, sweating profusely, very suspicious. "Big brother. And who is the other?" He stood up and introduced himself as Lennart Nierman. Jinwoo was a bit confused, thinking that the hunter came to entrust him. Thomas didn't want to be bothered with his meeting, so he quickly interrupted, "Mr. Sung, let's go." Then he turned around and asked Lennart Nierman if he was going to follow him. He angrily replied, "I've been waiting for more than 2 hours to meet Hunter Sung Jinwoo. I can go with him, right?" Thomas's eyes were now extremely scary, and he replied, "No, what we are about to talk about is a secret, not your place to interfere." After hearing this sentence, he was a bit dissatisfied / this was also the first time he was treated like that. Jin Woo and Thomas finally left and went to a luxury restaurant. Thomas snapped his fingers and confidently said, "Mr. Sung doesn't know how much I've been looking forward to this moment." The employee next to him held a large box and placed it on the table in Jin Woo's curiosity. "What is that?" Thomas asked Jin Woo if he could feel the power of this thing. This was a gift to repay a favor from him and the guild members to Jin Woo. The light in the box was extremely strong, making Jin Woo surprised. Could this be Kamish? Thomas praised Mr. Sung as expected. Just seeing it for the first time and already knowing the ingredients used to create it, Jin Woo asked suspiciously, "Wasn't Kamish's body preserved at the Hunter Management Bureau?" Thomas continued, "At the request of the U.S. government, we completely gave up Kamish's body in exchange for more than money. However, they gave me a souvenir of Kamish's biggest sharp tooth and a fang that I had to use all my strength to pull out when it bit me / Since it was a bit short to make a long sword, I made a pair of daggers without thinking it would be this useful. From now on it's yours." Jin Woo held the knife in his hand and couldn't help but feel happy as if he had found delicious prey. System appears information about the knife. Kamish's Wrath. Attack power 1500. This is the finest dagger made from the sharpest fangs among the dragon's teeth and forged by the hands of artisans. Its sensitivity is unmatched. Its sensitivity to mana is very good, so depending on the user's ability, it can become an even more powerful weapon. After reading it, Jin Woo exclaimed, "1500 attack power is truly unbelievable. I thought the Demon King's dagger was already very good. Compared to this knife, it's not even worth mentioning." Jin Woo excitedly danced a few times, but Thomas quickly stopped him. "Wow, Mr. Sung, if you use this, even if I increase my defense with an enhancement skill, I won't be able to resist. Are you planning on using the gift I gave you to send me home?" Looking at Jin Woo's knife, it was definitely completely different from a normal dagger. It was greeting by reacting strongly to Jin Woo's magic power. Everyone around saw the magical power radiating around Jin Woo, everyone sweating under their armpits. Thomas smiled and said to Laura, looking like this, "Do you still think I made the wrong choice?" Hearing that, Laura quickly shook her head. Thomas turned to ask Jin Woo how his gift was. Jin Woo asked again if he wanted to give it to me for free. Thomas replied without any hesitation, "Of course, I think my life and the lives of other members are still cheaper than those 2 daggers." Hearing that, Jin Woo also asked permission to accept it. Thomas was satisfied when he heard it. Suddenly both of them felt something unusual. Mr. Song, just outside the purple light from the magic gate enveloped the city. Everyone looked up in fear and looked at the huge magic gate appearing right in the middle of the Seoul sky. Jin Woo thought to himself, "Is that what Dr. Belzer was talking about at the conference? The magisphere that's been gathering over the skies above Seoul?" Thomas couldn't believe this either. This was the first time he saw something that big. When Kamish appeared, it wasn't that loud. This world seems beyond what we can imagine. Seeing the strange scene appear, everyone curiously took out their phones to take pictures. Reporters who are as fast as the wind have appeared at this moment. "Yes, I am present right below the gate that covers the sky of Seoul, South Korea. The gate you are seeing right now is the largest one since the dawn of magic beasts. As you can see, many residents of the city have come outside to witness this phenomenon. None of them look too happy. This is Nick Powell from BBN News, signing off." The doctor noticed this phenomenon and also started to rush. "Not long ago I warned about the enormous amount of magic power gathering under the sky. The giant gate in the sky of Seoul is just the beginning. In the future you will probably see many more of those terrible gates in the sky of many countries. I want to emphasize this." One of them said, "Doctor, you have researched for a long time about gates and monsters. What can we do in this difficult situation?" He heard that. He remained silent for a long time without answering. "Maybe we just have to pray that this unprecedented situation will not end in tragedy." Jin Woo was now riding Kamish outside the gate. "It was strange that I couldn't go through this gate. It was like there was a wall blocking it. If it was just a normal wall, I could destroy it. A gate that can't be entered by an awakened being, huh? I wonder if the beasts inside are different from the ones I've encountered so far. Either way, my family and friends are down there. I'm not going to let whatever's inside off easy." Suddenly there was a call. It was Director Woo Jin Chul. He said he couldn't hear Jin Woo's voice very clearly. Let him call back. Jin Woo said that it's just because he's so high up that he now has to call Woo Jin-chul president. He replied, "You can call me whatever you want. I feel embarrassed because I received this title." Jin Woo asked if Woo Jin-chul had already found out about his request. "Yes, I asked the hunter management agency in another country and scanned the entire area. However, there are no new gates in the world." Hearing that, Jin Woo continued asking, "Besides the gates that have been cleared, no new gates have appeared." "Yes, that's right. 3 hours have passed since the giant gate appeared. What are the odds of gates all over the world accidentally disappearing in those 3 hours? It seems this is not a coincidence." Woo Jin-chul here continued, "From now on, we will evacuate the people in the area around the gate to avoid causing chaos. We have proceeded in stages. What does Hunter Sum think? No matter what tomorrow brings, just try to do your best." Then he turned off the phone. At the Hunter Association Stadium, Jin Woo was training with Beru. The two are extremely enthusiastic about fighting. The speed must be called extremely fast. Beru threw a blow right in the face, but Jin Woo easily dodged it. He grabbed Beru's hand, then asked him with a serious expression, "Are you fighting with all your strength?" Then he let go of Beru's hand, and he knelt down to admit his mistake. "My lord, how could I do that?" Jin Woo expressed it was okay. He just wanted to exercise and sweat a little. There's nothing wrong with being so stressed. He bowed deeply in front of Jin Woo and said, I am deeply moved and honorable by your words." Jin Woo was also surprised and asked again, "I feel like your vocabulary is growing by the day. You can eat another human, right? Let's start." The magic power around Jin Woo emitted a purple light. Beru also retreated and entered attack mode. The two rushed at each other like hungry tigers. Beru attacked but was immediately blocked by Jin Woo. "You're pretty strong, now that you're a commander." Beru did not answer but instead frantically attacked Jin Woo. He gently dodged its attack and then pressed close to Beru's body and said, "But did you know? In an army, there can only be one commander. Once ignorance and greed become generals, they'll catch up to you in no time. So if you don't want your position taken away, you'd better try harder." The two were still continuing to fight. Jin Woo saw this situation and thought to himself, even if Beru is the strongest in his army, fighting with that guy is just like scratching an itch. Beru screamed and was about to attack again, but Jin Woo suddenly dodged. He stepped aside and then punched Beru in the side, sending it flying straight into the wall. He knelt down again. "My king, I, your lowly servant, am left in awe by your almighty power." Jin Woo heard it so much that he got bored and replied, "I think you should lay off those historical dramas for a while. So the test is over and the battlefield must be cleaned up." Jin Woo glanced around and saw an extremely horrifying scene indicating that this was an extremely epic training session. He was confused. Call Woo Jin-chul. Chairman, just hear me out, okay? I have an outstanding workforce of about 300 ants. So, at a hotel in Seoul, Korea, Laura told Thomas she didn't plan to go anywhere. He said, "How could I leave behind something so big and beautiful and go?" Laura asked confusedly, "Although it's big, how beautiful is it?" "The things that make my heart pound are all beautiful. The dragon breathes fire. Both that giant gate and some Jinwoo are very beautiful. Anything that I think is beautiful I want to have." Hearing that, she replied, "Something that the president cannot possess has appeared." "That's right. I didn't expect that something I couldn't have would appear in this world. And even if I didn't have this gate, what would be the point of going back now?" Laura said with a worried face. "But the Hunter Management Department is worried." "So funny. Is there any safer place than next to Hunter-sung? Anyway, if you can't block it here, it will be the same everywhere in the future. That's why I want to see it. Will it be the end or a new beginning for humanity?" The busy street with traffic is now completely stopped. Many layers of cars are close together as if someone was lining them up. Jin-ah looked out from inside the house and said, "Mom, aren't we going to take refuge?" Hearing that, she replied in a gentle tone, "Anyway, if this place becomes a battlefield, then it's better to decide where you die, right? Also, this place is not an area where evacuation is encouraged." Jin-ah got angry. "I'll be a student next year. I also want to drink and stay in a dormitory and live the university life. I'm still in my youth. So what do you mean by death?" "That's the truth. But Jinwoo will protect us just like when father and son protect us. Jinwoo was still above the building observing the surrounding scene. Even though in this situation, he still hadn't received their aura. Where are they hiding anyway? I have to stop that gate at all costs. Is there a way to end it without any sacrifice? There are more and more things we need to protect. Should I call someone one last time? Jin Woo took the phone from his pocket and searched for a few names in his contacts. After scrolling to Cha's name, hey, and he stopped. Scene change at Mr. Song's clubhouse. Cha Hae-in is currently practicing kendo with him. Mr. Song looked at her and said that I've been sensing hesitation from you lately. Hae-in, I can tell by the tip of your sword. I'm concerned there may be fear in your heart. I guess it's only natural though. I was disenchanted too. Well, I'm not sure if the monsters I faced can compare to the ones you've gone up against, but back when I lost my arm. Suddenly the phone rang, interrupting their conversation. Noticed Cha Hae-in a bit confused when seeing the contact's name. Mr. Song smiled and said, "Oh, I'm rambling again. You have to answer the phone, right?" She apologized to her teacher, then took the phone and went outside. After finishing the phone call with someone, she blushed and turned to look at Mr. Song. "Teacher, because I have an unexpected appointment. I have to go now." "Go, you have to go." This way the teacher knows she's with her boyfriend. Mr. Song's face smiled. "That's it, I understand." In a certain park in the city, everyone was talking about two extremely famous hunters at that time, Jinwoo and Cha Hae-in. Is that hunter some Jinwoo? Oh my god, this is the real some Jinwoo. Who is the girl next door? His girlfriend? Wait, you're the hunter father Hae-in of the Hunter Association. The two of them talked as they walked. Jinwoo looked very normal, and Hae-in's father was so embarrassed that he blushed. Jinwoo said, "With this situation, I thought there would be few people. It was really unexpected." Like a young girl, she shyly asked, "Jinwoo, do you like this place?" "I don't really like it, but I want to try it once." Hae-in's father innocently asked, "Why did you ask me to go to the place you wanted to go just once?" Jinwoo made a manly expression and replied, "Because I only have Cha Hae-in as my friend. So this brother has finally forgotten Miss Ju-hee." After hearing this, Cha Hae-in was a bit surprised. "What's wrong?" "Right in front of that strange stone statue," she said. "He is my friend. I came here to save Hunter Sum Jinwoo." Remembering the words he said at the time of his life and death, Cha Hae-in blushed a little and shyly replied, "Did you still hear it at that time?" Jinwoo replied to her with a sarcastic tone, "Yes, my ears are quite good." Cha Hae-in changed the subject. "What's up with that strange dungeon?" Jinwoo replied, "After I arrange the clues, I will tell you because now I don't know what it is either." "I see, but," then Cha Hae-in, looking up on the other side, a whole group of shadow soldiers were stopping their fans. The press could not forgive the two of them either. They are indeed famous people, but their security guards are so strange. Cha Hae-in asked Jinwoo if he stood out like this. Jinwoo replied, "As long as we don't care, it's okay." At this moment, Cha Hae-in thought to himself, "I've been a hunter for 2 years. How long has it been since I've been able to go out comfortably like this? When I'm with him, everything is completely different." Jinwoo smelled good. Then together they headed towards the game area. The two of them went through many games together. A happy smile appeared on Cha Hae-in's face, making Jinwoo a little infatuated. "Turns out I wasn't the only one who wanted to come here. So we'll all go." The two of them went on a roller coaster together and went into a haunted house, and many other places. After trying out the games, they ate hamburgers and Coke together. Jinwoo asked, "Isn't it fun to play here?" She drank a delicious glass of water and replied, "No, it's fun," but why didn't she scream once? At this moment, Jinwoo thought, it's true that for S-level hunters, these games are not fun. He asked her, "Is the game slower than you thought?" Cha Hae-in replied with a confused look, "Ah, yes." Jinwoo saw that and smiled. "Then let's play something more interesting." Then we saw the extremely poetic scene of the pink afternoon sky. Jinwoo and Cha Hae-in are riding Kaizel in the sky. She shouted in surprise. So fast, so tall, and so beautiful. The two of them kept wandering around the city. "Mr. Jinwoo, I experience this all the time. Why do you go to the amusement park?" Jinwoo answered with a sad expression. This is where the gate that caused my father to disappear appeared, so I want to go there once. After hearing this, Cha In finally understood. Thank you. I wanted to say this for a long time. Lately I've only known how to accept it. Jin Woo looked at In and said, I still have something to show you. The sun gradually set, leaving the city scene gradually turning mysterious black. In the forest next to the city, the two of them sat and looked at the stars together, two warm hearts next to each other. In looked at Jin Woo with a passionate expression. A shooting star passed by carrying many of their secret wishes. At the Korean Hunter Association, a man is currently thinking to himself, if in a few days the gate with those monsters will be opened. Right now I'm only a B-level awakened person, so I can't be careless. Suddenly, he accidentally bumped into the Beastman's body. The crowd saw that scene and shouted, What is that? Is there a fight over there? Wow, his body is really big. Maybe he's twice as big as Ma Dong-wook. Is he a hunter? Now there are only hunters left in Seoul, but is that uncle crazy? Does he want to go to the hospital? The other man shouted, Hey, you should apologize after bumping into someone else. He thought to himself, I am now a B-level awakened person, and in the hunter world, I am also a B-level person. Daily life of being oppressed by superiors and looked down upon by subordinates has become a thing of the past. Why don't you just stand there and watch, waiting for everything to end? If you were human, when you made a mistake, you would have to ask for forgiveness. The beast man screamed. He opened his huge jaw and grabbed the sick guy in front of everyone. Blood began to spray around like a waterfall. He was killed. All the people around were scared and shouted, Eat and beat. He ate people. He smiled evilly, and with a bang, magic power radiated around him, causing everyone standing nearby to fly 100 meters away. Some people were stuck to the wall and then hit by a car. He had just destroyed a few humans and proudly shouted, Appear, stupid humanity. Starting now, I'll be hunting you down. I'm going to rip apart your flimsy skin and flesh with my teeth and nails. I am the king of beasts, the monarch of Fang. Please try to stop me. In the forest next to the city, the poetic scene here is enough to make people ecstatic. It sat next to the stream using her small hand to drink sips of water. Jin Woo put on his coat and happily asked her, I just finished exploring this place. There is a hotel over there. Let's go there. Take a shower and eat. In happily replied, Okay. Kazal is now summoned. In asked Jin Woo if he was nearby. So, he happily said, Go, come on, if I run at full speed, it will take about 5 minutes. Hearing this, It was a bit stunned. How many kilometers is 5 minutes? Then the two of them rode Kazal and flew into the clear blue sky. In the city at this time, Chairman Woo Jin-shul urgently shouted, Is the intruder at the door of the Hunter Association? So what about the number of victims? Reporting assistant. Currently, we cannot capture all the victims. Woo Jin-shul was a bit panicked when he heard this. There were still a few hours until the gate broke. Just the gate thing alone is enough to give me a headache. Why did this monster suddenly appear from nowhere? Woo Jin-shul asked him, What about worker son Jin Woo? He said he couldn't contact me yet, but when he needed me, he was gone. The assistant shouted, President, there is a hunter facing the monster slash. Woo Jin-shul thought that Jin Woo had returned, but the assistant said no, he was an international hunter who happened to appear there. Switching back to the battlefield, Lennart stood in front of the monster and thought, Can I do this or will I have to die here? Perhaps this is because fate arranged for me to stop in Seoul, so I could kill this monster myself. Suddenly a voice from behind rang out, Get away, get aside. It turns out it was Thomas. He appeared wearing an extremely generous and beautiful cotton shirt. At a restaurant, Jin Woo was on a date with Cha-hae, and when he received a phone call from the Hunter Association. Hunter-son, why didn't you pick up the phone? He replied, I was outside the coverage area just now. A scream rang out from the end of the phone. A monster has just appeared and is causing chaos in the center of Seoul. Jin Woo here also shouted, How could this be possible? There are still a few hours until the gate breaks. But this is the truth. What is the number of monsters this time? Woo Jin-shul replied, There is only one name. Just one. Jin Woo fell into contemplation. Now all the hunters are gathered in Seoul to confront when this giant gate cracks to prevent a possible disaster. Yet a monster suddenly appeared right now. Jinwoo told Chahat. A counselor who confronted him was dealt with in the blink of an eye. Maybe he is not an ordinary monster. I just received information that Thomas is facing that monster. Jinwoo thought to himself that it couldn't be like that. He had already sent the shadow soldiers into Hunter Thomas's shadow. If there is anything unusual around him, they will notify me immediately. But why did that monster single-handedly wipe out an entire guild, and yet I didn't receive any signals? Wait, the signal from the shadow soldiers in Seoul has weakened a lot, like they're avoiding something. So, what is it anyway? System notification. The designated shadow soldier cannot be found. Even the shadow soldiers with fixed positions had disappeared. Looks like something happened. Cha-in heard that and asked again. Could it be that the gate was broken? No, that's another problem. An enemy of immense power needs a nation-level hunter to confront him, and the signal is interrupted. Maybe. Jin Woo immediately called Woo Jin-chul. President, does that monster have a shadow? I need you to verify that. Because there may be an extremely powerful monster hiding behind his shadow. Leonard stood aside, sweating profusely. Thomas, a small group next door shouted. Goliath. It's Goliath. Don't just stand there, you idiots. Evacuate the civilians. Thomas's eyes began to get serious. You are truly an unreasonable monster. His expression is extremely scary. His teeth are as sharp as a shark. His red eyes exuded primal bloodlust. Thomas looked at him and said, and mad beasts must be vanquished. That's the universal truth. Thomas then gathered his magic power and transformed. He strengthened his body. The surrounding golden color radiated an extremely solid armor. Thomas swung a punch at the beastman's face, then another. He fell backwards and Thomas grabbed his head and pushed him to the ground. At this time, Choi Jong-min came out from the car and asked, how is the evacuation situation in this area? A hunter replied, we are still organizing rescue in the buildings. Which association is suppressing the scene? He replied, the Fiend and White Tiger guilds were dispatched. Hunters from all over the country are gathered there because of the giant gate. That's why they were able to appear in such a timely manner. Our hunter association just needs to focus on rescuing and avoiding disasters. Choi Jong-in thought to himself, didn't he just say he would suppress them? National Hunter Thomas was fighting a monster of unknown origin. Even with the surprise raid on Jeju Island, I didn't feel any signs of a battle this big. How does a Goliath have to fight a monster? Returning to the two people's match, the Beastman now seemed to be at a loss with Thomas. He took every powerful attack Thomas threw, and the more he punched the other guy, the angrier he became. He was pushed 100 meters away and flew up several floors of that tall building over there, but he still had enough strength to fly back. He used lightning-fast speed to rush towards Thomas. Using his speed, he hit Thomas' stomach with an extremely strong force like a blow. Thomas had difficulty blocking it. He used both hands to squeeze the guy's body, then turned around and made him hit the ground straight. While Thomas was careless, he used his elephant-sized foot to give Thomas a painful kick in the face, causing him to fly high. He turned around and sat up and smiled eagerly. Thomas felt he couldn't prolong the duel any longer, so he started activating the strengthen himself skill. Bak Yoon-ho along with his members also arrived. Is this a battlefield? Is everyone ready yet? Then, with a sudden burst of dust and smoke, the beastman appeared surrounded by an evil aura. Is that the beast that appeared in this place? If so, then the other person is Thomas Goliath. The hunters now stood to one side and shouted like actors. Come on, Goliath, kill it. Thomas shouted. You idiots, quickly find a way to escape. Bak Yoon-ho thought to himself. He's not an ordinary monster. I have to transform. Before he could decide, the beastman appeared in front of him. His pressure makes Bak sweat. In front of him right now was an extremely ferocious gray wolf that wanted to pounce on its small prey. Using the sixth sense of a beast, he is trying to show that he is not some kind of predator. Bak was so scared that he returned to his original state. He couldn't even look him in the eye. The beastman raised his hand high above the cars, along with the traffic lights, electric poles, and all the objects affected by magic were rushing towards Thomas. He gently used one hand to make them fly away. A Mercedes hit Thomas in the face, but he was unharmed. From inside the car, Thomas's hand stuck out. He used his strength to suck up the beast lord. As soon as he arrived, Thomas still used his strength to punch him straight to the ground, followed by a thunder punch straight to his face. Suddenly, Thomas felt a sense of insecurity covering him. I can't grasp the feeling of winning this battle. Thomas was about to punch him again when suddenly he used his hand to block the punch. That lord began to transform. His hair gradually became silver, he said. Using fragments to create power like this, you are really cunning. A smile of death appeared on his face. His eyes were now as red as blood. Thomas was also surprised because after the previous attacks, he was unharmed. Are you scared? Are you starting to feel scared already? You must be very desperate right now, right? When everyone around saw his power radiating, everyone trembled in fear. Suddenly, he realized there was a shadow soldier hiding in Thomas's shadow, so he pulled it outside. There's a mouse hiding here. He dragged Biru outside and said smugly, "What are you doing hiding there? Trouble, get out of my way." He grabbed Thomas's neck and said, "Let's continue playing. It seems like you're very confident in your strength. Then let's have a match with me." He violently crushed Thomas. The armor shattered. Thinking he was dead. Who knew he was using a substitution technique to sneak behind that guy? "What are you babbling about, you dog?" Thomas used both hands to break his neck. His head was like bent rubber. He turned 180 degrees towards Thomas and then used his hand as big as a table to grab Thomas's head and smash it hard on the ground. "Sorry, but I'm starting to feel hungry." In the moment of life and death, a stream of green light shot straight at him. The person who appeared was Leonard. Although he saved Thomas' life, it seems he's about to become unwell. Leonard replied, "I won't let you have the satisfaction. Just standing in front of him gives me chills down my spine." Thomas said with difficulty that if you run away, you will die. Leonard replied, "I know, but I'm also a true hunter." As I used the Leonard skill, I thought to myself, I won't regret it. Even if I have to die here, I won't regret it. I'd rather die with honor than live with shame. I'm not wrong. The Lord saw Leonard's attitude, so he started to get excited. The magic power he radiated was like a giant wolf. He pounced on Leonard, scaring him. Am I wrong? Suddenly a dragon appeared and stabbed straight at him. Is Kaisel, it takes the Lord of Beasts and flies high. He used all his strength to blow Kaisel away. Jin Woo from above, like a god, gave him a kick in the mouth for daring to hit his mount. Jin Woo successfully landed in front of Leonard's surprise. He said with a confident voice, "Sorry, but can you take Thomas to a safe place for me?" The Lord got up with difficulty. "It's really you. You have the scent of a shadow soldier on you. Mankind." Then they left and didn't forget to come back and say, "You don't need to worry about us." Jin Woo thought to himself that the murderous aura was even thicker than just one guy. He asked Jin Woo, "Why can an ordinary human like you possess this superior power?" They must have found some way. It seems like it's been a while since Monarch of Shadows made a deal with him. A voice rang out from the ground, "So can I eat this guy? I also want to enjoy the taste of a monarch like him." Then 3 monarchs also appeared one after another. The king of snowfolk, the monarch of frost, has identified a foe.